Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Tessa Keogh, and on behalf of the Guild of One Name Studies, welcome to the 10th webinar in our 7 Pillars webinar series. We host this monthly webinar series on the third Tuesday of the month, and more information about the topics, as well as the registration link for the remaining webinar in this series, can be found at the Guild website. Now, our topic for today's webinar is Back to School with Your One Name Study. As family historians and one name researchers, we're constantly on the hunt for new technologies, tools, tips, websites, records, and data sets to use with our research. We read articles and books, attend seminars and webinars, go to conferences, and invest in software and cloud services to help us do more with our studies. Today, I'll be discussing what's out there and worth our time when we decide to go back to school for surname research and one name studies. Now, before we get started, I'd like to welcome those of you attending who do not currently do surname research or have a one name study. And that's about half of you from the registration responses we received. Because of that, I thought I would answer 2 questions. The first is, what is surname research? Now, as a genealogist, I encourage people to learn more about the surnames in their family tree because I consider it just like any other fact or event. For example, it's just like an occupation, education, or military service. We often say that a surname is a person's oldest possession, given to them when they were born or adopted, sometimes taken on at marriage, or selected during a naturalization process. A surname links a person to a nuclear family, as well as an extended family. It tells you something about those who went before you. Second, what is a one name study? Well, some of us genealogists and family historians take it a step further. We not only want to learn the meaning, origin, frequency, and social science aspects affecting our nuclear and extended families, we're just nosy enough to want to learn about everyone sharing the surname, whether or not they're related. Those taking on a one name study might do it for a region, a country, or in the case of the Guild of One Name Studies members, we do it on a worldwide basis. We often say we're bringing the world together, one surname at a time. Hopefully that gives you a sense of what surname research and one name studies are, and I've provided a handout with some resources to use, but please do visit the Guild's website for more information and to see if your surname is registered as an ongoing study with the Guild. And keep in mind that at next month's webinar, we'll be discussing what the Guild does in depth and giving you a peek into our 40th anniversary activities that will take place in 2019. Now, normally I host this series and I introduce the presenters, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself to all of you. I'm an attorney by education and vocation, and a genealogist and lecturer by avocation. I hold a certificate in genealogy and social history from the University of Washington, and I've presented on technology, software, research facilities, methodology, and genealogy education, as well as one name studies and one place studies at Roots Tech, Southern California Genealogical Society Jamboree, at Guild conferences, and through the Legacy Family Tree webinars. I have a YouTube channel and produce videos on genealogy software, spreadsheet software, and various topics on one name studies. I also write for the In-Depth Genealogist on specialized studies. I use Facebook, grudgingly, to connect with genealogists and family historians, and I hope to get back to my blogs, The Keogh Corner and Scandia Musings, where I write about research and genealogy topics that are related to my personal family history. Now, here you can see my study profile at the Guild website for my Keogh surname. I provide a bit of background about the study, the variant surnames I study in addition to my primary surname, and preliminary information about the origin of the Keogh surname. The original focus of my surname research and one name study was in Newfoundland, and the majority of my research to date is in Newfoundland and Canada. I've gathered broad data, census information and vital records data from England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. In the United States, I've gathered the Social Security Death Index information and done family reconstructions using censuses and vital records in 3 states, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington. and I thought I'd show you the reason why I haven't ventured out of Newfoundland yet. The Guild is a volunteer-run organization, and soon after joining, I was asked to become a regional rep and then the national rep for the United States. I spent the first few years of my membership learning about the methodology and was using it for basically a hybrid study, combining a one-name and a one-place study of my family surname and my grandfather's native community of Plate Cove East. Now, as you can see, I didn't even register my surname until I'd been a member of the Guild for 4 years, because I wasn't really comfortable making that commitment until I had a better understanding of what all was involved. And part of getting comfortable was gaining an education in family history and one-name studies. The great thing about a one-name study and membership in the Guild is that you're working on your study at your own pace, and you're doing the aspects of the study that interest you, whether that's data gathering and analysis, family reconstructions, DNA studies, or answering any number of specific questions that relate to those who share the surname. I realize that my one-name study is a work in progress and that the amount of time I can devote to it changes from year to year. I view my study as a marathon rather than a dash, and I view continuing my education as training for that marathon. Now, if you have any questions during my presentation, please add them to the Q&A box shown on your dashboard, and we'll be addressing them at the conclusion of the presentation. Also, the handout is available on your dashboard, and you can download the PDF to your computer during the webinar. And with that, let's get started. Now, by way of background, I'm the product of many years of formal and informal education. My profession requires continuing education, and my interests require that I be a lifelong learner. I read journals and books, attend seminars and conferences, listen to podcasts, attend webinars and online presentations, research at libraries and archives, and I make use of websites and online databases. As many of you know, the opportunities to continue our education have expanded in the last 12 years, and that's how long I've been doing genealogy. Between meetings, seminars, and conferences, our opportunity to attend in-person courses has grown. However, there are often significant costs associated with in-person learning, travel time and expenses or attendance fees, just to name a few. The truly amazing thing is that with access to a smartphone or a computer, lectures, presentations, courses, and conferences are available to all of us, and that's from the comfort of our own homes, offices, or libraries, and often on our own schedule and for little or no cost. Today, we're going to talk about going back to school for our one-name studies. There are a variety of educational opportunities available, both online and offline. The handout provides a number of links to various types of learning opportunities. Those links will be useful to you when you're making decisions on what type of educational opportunities you want to check out. Hopefully, some of the 13 titles and 80 links will be new to you. But right now, let's take a step back from the actual learning opportunities and talk about the basics. Before you invest your time and effort in watching a webinar, attending a conference, choosing a course, or joining a peer study group, you want to take stock and make some conscious decisions about what you want to do with your one-name study and what you want to learn. Now, I think the most important question to answer for each of us is, what am I trying to accomplish with my one-name study? When I first joined the Guild back in 2009, I joined simply to learn the methodology and take advantage of the wiki and the recorded seminar and workshop sessions that were behind the paywall. At the time, I had no intention of registering the surname, and I wasn't even sure how long I'd continue my membership. I joined specifically for the learning opportunity. I wanted to find my Keos as well as any Keos we were connected to in Newfoundland, and I wanted to find out where my Keos were originally from. I also wanted to find out where my Keos, as well as perhaps distantly related Keos, went when they left Newfoundland, whether that was to other parts of Canada or the United States. As I started doing my research, I noticed I was collecting lots of data and records about Keos that were turning out not to be mine. But I also noticed that I needed to collect all the data and records that I could while I was physically in St. John's, and then worry about including or excluding those individuals from my family tree later. Now, once you get started and you see tight or loose family connections, a one-name study and a one-place study actually become addictive. In addition to collecting data and reconstructing families, we learn about communities, occupations, education, health issues, political and social issues, migration, military service, and the list goes on and on. The reason I enjoy my one name study is because it gives me an opportunity to learn history, geography, record and data sets that are associated with several different countries and different states in the United States. If I were relying on only my family history, I would be focused on 5 countries and only a handful of states in the United States. Working on a one-name study, I am researching in several different countries, and I've found KEOs in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first started working on my one-name study, I read through 7 pillars, and that's online at the Guild website and also in book form. And I realized that while I felt comfortable with subject matter research, I'd given little thought to technology, organization, or methodology. I wanted to understand how others had approached their one-name studies before I jumped into the deep end of the pool. I also realized that although I was comfortable with Microsoft Word, since I use it in my work, I knew very little about spreadsheets or computer file organization. Most members I spoke with told me that they'd begun their research with pen and paper or index cards, and that making the change to computers involved going back to school, and making the change from written requests for information to online research also involved going back to school. I think one of the best things about my one-name study is that I started with online research, and I was using a computer from the outset for my research. And so I've had the benefit of so many educational opportunities, both online and offline. Whether it's reviewing journal articles, and those are all online at the Guild website, or watching conference sessions, hangouts, or webinars, there are many chances to learn from those who've been doing this for a while. As such, we don't have to reinvent the one-name study wheel. Do you have a short-term or a long-term educational plan? The book Professional Genealogy has some great assignments, and one of them is to make an education plan. Our one-name study education plans will change over time, but I think it's important to give some thought to putting your plan and your goals down on paper. Now, if you're new to surname research or a one-name study, you're going to want to learn the basics. Certain types of courses would be better for you than others. If you're more advanced, what areas do you feel you're lacking or do you need to brush up on before you attempt? Perhaps you have excellent research skills, but you are simply unable to start writing your surname story. You might need to take some remedial or creative writing courses. Sometime in the next 10 days, make an appointment with yourself and give some thought to what you want to do with your one-name study and the areas you've been struggling with, and you'll easily find the holes in your knowledge or skills. Then make a list of the types of courses you want to take and check out the variety of resources for those courses. If my plan included crossing the pond to work with Irish records and resources for my study, proceeding with my members website project, and revamping my KEO Corner blog, I would need very different skills for each of these activities, and I need to prioritize them, look for opportunities that would teach me how to do each of those, and I'd also have to determine how much time and effort I wanted to put into each of those projects, and then plan accordingly. Now, most of us have an annual physical with a healthcare professional and an annual review either with our employer or for the employer with our employees. Well, it's also a good idea to have an annual review or assessment for our one-name study. Now, I'm assuming that most everyone here today is a genealogist or a family historian. We tend to enjoy learning, whether that's to build our knowledge base or improve our skills. Unless you have unlimited time and resources, it makes sense to take a look at what you've already done. What types of courses and classes have you already taken? How have you used them? Is your knowledge up to date? Take some time to assess yourself and list the subject matters and skills that you know. You might surprise yourself with your wealth of knowledge. Next, what do you need or want to learn? Do you have any specific projects with your one name study that you want to complete where taking a course or watching a video tutorial or getting a mentor would help? Now, rather than focus solely on genealogy education, what subjects and skills do one name researchers need to use? Well, I would say that the subjects include history, world history, country history, for me, American history, and then state and province as well as local history. Geography, both physical and cultural, religion, foreign languages, or at least learning certain words that are going to assist me with records research. Math, because it's helpful to be able to do simple calculations and not rely on our genealogy database programs. Statistics. It's important to understand how statistics are arrived at and if they accurately reflect what we intend them to. Economics. So many issues throughout history have had as their tipping point the economics of a region or a country. How does the economy affect a community at various times? Writing and grammar. At some point, we want to write research plans and reports. We want to write the story of our surname, whether that's for a blog, a website, a journal article, or a book. And finally, biology. At some point where we introduce genetics and DNA tests into our one name study, we want to make sure we understand it. Now, skills would include reading, writing, editing, and publishing our work, data entry, productivity tools such as spreadsheets and relational databases, organization, basic and intermediate computer skills, using the internet and our email program effectively. Technology tools such as camera, scanner, smartphone, tablet, and e-reader, as well as both computer and cloud-based syncing and backup of our research. Now, many of these subjects and skills are general knowledge areas, so we need to take a look at all types and resources for learning. Now, unless you're listening to podcasts, watching webinars, or attending seminars simply for something to do to fill up your day, and that's perfectly fine to do, most of us plan to use what we've learned. But the question is, do we? We often have the best of intentions, but our schedules and competing responsibilities often get in the way of us putting what we learn into practice. Now let's test that out just in the privacy of our own homes. How many of you attending today attended a webinar, a seminar, or listened to a podcast in August? Do you remember what the topic or the subject matter was? Do you recall who the presenter was? Did you take notes? Can you recall, either from memory or your notes, 3 what I call takeaways or aha moments from that event? Did you get a handout? Do you know where the notes or the handout is today? And if so, how long would it take you to put your hands on it? Have you reviewed the handout since the webinar, seminar, podcast in conjunction with your notes? Did you use any of the links provided in the handout? Did you use anything you learned from the webinar, seminar, or podcast? How many of us took advantage of the opportunity to use what we learn and put it in practice? Now, if you were nodding your head, yes, the whole time, that's great. If you weren't, then you're like many of us. We have great intentions, but if we don't have a plan in place and we make a conscious effort to use what we learn, we either waste that opportunity or we don't realize as much of a benefit as we could have. Now, I want to take another step back before we start looking at learning opportunities and address what I consider an important question. What type of learner are you? If you think back to your favorite subjects or favorite instructors, you will probably find that your learning style meshed with their teaching style. For many of us, if we had trouble with a subject, it was probably because the instructor did not teach that subject in a variety of ways that could engage different learning styles. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind is that unless you have unlimited time and resources, we need to be discerning students. We each have the same 24 hours in a day. Our time has value. The hour you spend in a webinar, the 8 hours you spend at a seminar, or the 30 hours you might spend in a course needs to be worthwhile. You should judge every offer of a webinar, video, live stream conference, or a course as a serious demand on your time and judge it accordingly. Now, there are three main learning styles: auditory, tactile, and visual. When cardiopulmonary resuscitation, otherwise known as CPR classes, were first introduced for the general public, the classes were broken down into three sections. The first, describing the process of CPR and instructing the students in the method. The second, showing a video and providing a one-page graphic of the CPR steps. And the third, having the student watch the instructor perform CPR on a dummy and then having the student perform CPR on the dummy. Those classes were monitored to determine whether using each method separately or using a combination of two or all three methods worked best. What the developers found was that individuals were able to learn and remember how to do CPR best if they were taught at least two of the three ways. Although some students picked up CPR after having had exposure to one method, the best results came from being provided all three methods. And what we can take from this is that while we might have a preferred learning style, it's important to use the other learning styles as well. Let's take a quick look at each. Do you like to listen to podcasts? Are you able to work through a problem after someone has described it to you? Do you like to listen to stories? Do you have a good recall of what was said at a lecture or a meeting? Do you learn best by repeating the information either aloud or to yourself? If you do take notes during a lecture, do you find that they're of little use in recalling the lecture? Then you're an auditory learner, as are approximately 30% of the population. These are the students who enjoy listening and learn best from oral presentations. They have excellent recall and are good storytellers themselves because they are all ears. Do you want the lecturer to get on with it? Would you prefer to do the task with just the main points for instruction? Do you like to take things apart, see how they work, and put them back together again? Do you prefer to listen or watch and then do the activity at the same time? Then you're a tactile learner, and that's also approximately 30% of the population. This percentage used to be a lot lower, but it's increased significantly over the past 15 years as we use more technology and collaborative learning and working. These are the students who enjoy doing an activity, working out process problems, working with technology, and accomplishing tasks. When you want to learn something, do you go to the library or the bookstore and get a book on the subject? Do you enjoy making or reviewing graphics or charts to explain concepts and information? Do you read the slides in a PowerPoint presentation? Are you drawn not only to the words and the images in the visual presentation, but also to the fonts and the colors? Do you enjoy reading the information or watching a demonstration before attempting to incorporate a lesson? Then you're a visual learner, and that's the remaining 40% of the population. These are the students who take very complete notes during a lecture. They usually annotate their written materials and draw pictures, graphs, or use images to recall concepts. Oftentimes, they can remember where information is located on a page. Now, you probably recognized yourself in one or maybe more of those learning styles. So why is it important to know what your preferred learning style is? Because how you learn affects whether you learn. As a student, you're going to want to match your learning style to the extent that you can to the educational opportunities you're interested in, because then you'll get the most out of them. So if you learn best by listening, you're going to be drawn to podcasts and lectures. If you learn best by watching and doing, you'll be drawn to videos and workshop type courses. If you learn best by reading and viewing, you're going to be drawn to multimedia presentations or the reading materials that accompany a lecture. And most of us learn a skill by observation first, reinforced by practice. So hands-on workshops and problem-solving sessions are always great ways to teach and learn a skill, such as creating a timeline, working on research projects, conducting oral histories, and working with documents and records. Now, as I mentioned at the start, there are a tremendous number and type of learning opportunities, and I've listed several of them on the resources handout. I did not list any conferences in my handout. These can be found at websites like Conference Keeper and also on the specific organization's website. And one of the reasons is I find most of the big conferences kind of overload our brains. You know, we go to them for 2 or 3 days. There's a choice of all types of sessions. There's an exhibit hall. We're interacting and networking with people we meet. And I really find that when I get back from a conference, I have very little recall of the sessions that I went to, and I'm basically remembering what I saw at the exhibit hall and the people I met. But I do want you to keep these in mind because they come up every year. Some of them are going to be new, but they're great ways if you limit the amount of sessions that you go to and you don't overload yourself in that 2 or 3 day period. We're going to have in 2019 FamilySearch's Roots Tech. That'll be in Salt Lake City and in London. The Federation of Genealogical Societies Conference will be in Washington, D.C. The National Genealogical Society Conference will be in St. Louis. The Southern California Genealogical Society's Jamboree is going to be in Burbank. The New England Regional Genealogical Conference will be in Manchester, New Hampshire. The Family History Show will be in London, and the Genealogy Show will be in Birmingham. There's definitely something for everyone. Now, the first group of resources that I've included on the handout include asynchronous learning. For the most part, this is self-paced learning, and the interaction is on your own terms. These are a good start if you have time issues or if you need to get your one-name study education in really small doses. And the second group of resources includes synchronous learning. For the most part, you're going to need to be an active participant, and you're going to be part of group learning at the same time. And with the exception of self-paced courses, you're really going to have to give a greater time commitment and do additional work in order to get the most from that experience. Let's look at a few examples from each of these types of resources. Just as a general matter, to find the links for all types of genealogy-related websites, and we're in luck here, we have a friend in Cindy's List. For over 20 years, Cindy's List has been our reference librarian, making sure that we have the links categorized by subject, location, or time period, so we can focus on using those genealogical resources. Think of Cindy as organizing the classrooms in the genealogy schoolhouse so that we're able to pick and choose the subjects, classes, and teachers we want. Now you can search for education in genealogy in the category index, and this allows you to choose from audio and video from conferences, correspondence, independent and home study courses, as well as online courses and webinars. Clearly, there's something for everyone. The related categories shown to the right are really quite helpful. Do you want to learn to do something specific like how to cite sources? Do you want to work with charts or forms or organize your research? Are you a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced genealogy? What type of educational format do you want to use? Cindy has links for how-tos, skill levels, and formats for learning. Cindy's List is a great start as you navigate your learning opportunities that are genealogy-based, both general and specialized. Now, tutorials are a great way to learn more about a specific topic, whether that is how to work with a software program, how to master a piece of technology, or to learn something specific in family history. Microsoft and Google both offer excellent tutorials for their productivity tools. Most of the genealogy database programs offer tutorials, either in their online help sections or in the PDF manuals, and they will assist you to learn all of the features of their programs. And the major players in the genealogy field have excellent tutorials on their websites to help you get the most out of their sites and learn more about family history in general. So whether it's in a written or video format, you're going to be able to follow along with the tutorial and learn a variety of subjects and skills. Now, when you sign into the FamilySearch website, you need to click on Help, and you'll see several choices, including the Learning Center and the Research Wiki. And the Learning Center on FamilySearch.org has some of the best tutorials that are freely available to genealogists and family historians. And I really think this site should be your first stop number one, because I think they're very well done, and secondly, because they're free. You can choose courses based on place, skill level, subject, format, and even language. They teach to all three learning styles, so whether you want to listen, watch, or watch and do, it's all available. You can also take the courses on your own schedule and at your own pace. And finally, questions, comments, and assistance are often only an email away. FamilySearch is really, really helpful about getting back to you. Now, in this example, I selected Scandinavia, that's selecting by place, and I can see the skill level is intermediate, and I can also see the subjects and the formats. If I select Scandinavian research, I see that the format is interactive, slides, the lesson is 60 minutes in length, and there's no charge for the lesson. We can also learn who the presenter is and what records will be covered. Here it's church records and civil registration. Notice that there's also a place to give course feedback, and definitely do that when you have the chance, because it always helps the organization as well as the presenter improve their lessons. If you have any research to do in Scandinavian records, these 4 tutorials would be a good introduction into records and how to read many of the early records. If you combine these lessons with some Scandinavian history, and think wikis and books here, you'd be well on your way to mastering your Scandinavian research. Now, recently, Ancestry made a number of changes to their Learning Center, and I think the trend is really to focus on a specific topic. And here we have choices of DNA, member trees, and search and records. And then you're going to need to click on the icon to basically open the door to both specific topics and trending articles. Be sure to check out one of Ancestry's best features, in my opinion, and this is their free research guides, and those are in front of the paywall. Clicking through brings up a list of guides grouped by subject matter. We have immigration, census, and ethnic records as an example, as well as place, and those are the state research guides. All the U.S. state research guides can be found by entering state guides in the search box at Ancestry support. Now, this is an example. It's 3 pages from the 5-page guide for Minnesota. It includes a short summary of the state's history, information and links for census and vital records, as well as Minnesota's online and offline collections, as well as a timeline of significant dates in Minnesota history. Now, this written tutorial is an excellent jumping off point to dig deeper into Minnesota's history and available records. This state guide can be downloaded from Ancestry's website. Now, if you're new to researching in a specific state for your one-name study, you should download the state guide as one of your first steps in learning about the state as well as its available records. And keep in mind that Ancestry is going to give you the available records that it has on its site. FamilySearch will give you available records both on its own site as well as other sites. Now, if you want to watch and learn how to do something, in fact, pretty much anything these days, you need to check out YouTube. Now, I know there's a lot of silliness and there's lots of cat videos, but don't dismiss YouTube on that account. Many of your favorite software programs, television stations, universities, genealogists, and hobbyists can be found on YouTube. A quick search for one-name studies and surnames research brought back over 1,000 results. By clicking on the filter button, you can also narrow your results by upload date, format, length of video, and features. Now, you can further filter your results by, among other things, relevance or a rating. Definitely take advantage of what I refer to as the Big 4 genealogy websites, their YouTube channels. That's Ancestry, FamilySearch, Find My Past, and MyHeritage. They all have tutorials. They introduce us to the changes to their websites. They discuss their services and resources, and they often host webinars or interviews with genealogy professionals. Whether it's a 5-minute how-to or a 30-minute discussion about using research plans with record searches, check out their recordings at YouTube. By way of example, if I click on a video to watch it, this is what's going to show up in the window: the title, the organization, and the individual who made the video. And in this case, it's DNA and Irish Genealogy, Where to Now. It was produced by the Genealogical Society of Ireland, and that's Dr. Maurice Gleason, who's a guild member. We also get the date of the video, that it was published, and that's May 15th, 2018. And we can see how many times the video has been viewed, as well as whether anyone has liked or disliked it or provided any comments or questions. Now, we could have also reached the same video if our search had been DNA, Irish, and or genealogy. You can really have wide open searches in YouTube, or you can make them very focused and find what you're looking for. Now, this is the time for the shameless plug. This is my YouTube channel. When you click through to a particular YouTube channel, and I've given you a number of them to check out on the resources handout, you'll land on the home page. Most channel owners have channel art, their Google Plus avatar, because YouTube and Google are together. And they'll also have a short video trailer that explains who they are and what their channel's all about. Now, I've included shelves for my videos based on the types of videos that I upload. I have one for my One Name Studies research, and those are 20 with Tessa, where I work through aspects of a surname study, including research strategies and record sets or technology tools. I have one for technology, which is fun with Excel. I have some from my Legacy Virtual Users group. That's the database program that I use. And I also have a shelf for private family videos, and that's unlisted, so only family members can see those videos. You can really take advantage of making or using YouTube videos. Now, across the top, you see that home, videos, playlists, channels, discussions. The videos tab there is great because you can see all the videos that are at that channel in date order as opposed to on the shelves. So why not check out a few of the YouTube channels that I provided links for, or search for a topic that you're interested in. Perhaps it's Excel, or how to use your smartphone, or how to learn more about organization or DNA, or any number of genealogy-related topics. If you subscribe to a YouTube channel, you'll then be notified when new videos are uploaded. And do be sure, if you haven't done it already, to subscribe to the Guild's YouTube channel. Now, SlideShare provides a place to upload slide presentations. Now, although the site provides for presentations and videos in addition to slides, YouTube has just been around a lot longer, and I noticed that SlideShare users tend to focus on slide decks rather than videos. The search button is well hidden. They like a dark feature here, but it's easily reached there at the top. A search for surnames brought back over 1,700 results. Now, you're going to want to filter that to make it applicable, but I just did a quick search. I noticed that a number of Canadians and Europeans use this site for university and library slide presentations. You can really find some interesting things here, and you can filter the results by upload date, format, and language. Keep in mind that SlideShare has lots of presentations on all kinds of topics, so don't limit yourself to genealogy or One Name Studies with your searches. Now, live streamed video is all the rage now. As technology continues to improve and we can use our smartphones to stream and record video, we're able to take the presentations, conferences, and exhibits to the viewers. This has been a real benefit for individuals who cannot attend a conference and for the organization to share some of the event with viewers at home. If you watched any of the presentations from Southern California Genealogy Society's Jamboree, held in June, or FamilySearch's Roots Tech, held in February, you know that the combination of live streamed presentations, live interviews, and a number of them were done by Dear Myrtle, and then the Twitter feed, where the participants who are there and the virtual participants interact together, really make everyone feel like they're part of the conference. Most of these live stream videos are made available to the public, and then some are later placed behind the organization's member paywall. I know that Roots Tech keeps all of its previous recordings available to the public. This forum, and you have forums and discussion rooms, this forum on mapping is an excellent resource if you're thinking of adding any mapping or migration information to your One Name study. Although it was developed with One Place studies in mind, I find the methodology and the discussion relating to maps and geographic data sets to be really helpful. They have a lot of open source material there that you can take advantage of. Now, we have several Guild members who've also presented on mapping and geography with One Name studies. You can find their presentation and resources at the Guild website. Most of us, hopefully by now, know that a wiki is simply an online collaborative encyclopedia. Wikis are put together by individuals, organizations, and specialty groups. Now, the Guild has a wiki. I think the majority of it is behind the member paywall. Individuals participate by adding to the wiki, and many of the larger wikis are monitored or edited by specialists in their field. To add information or edit, you must have an account. So many of the concerns that some individuals have that incorrect information is going to be added really hasn't been a problem. A wiki is a great place to start your research on most topics. At the very least, you can gain an overview and click through to the links. Wikis are not a source, but they are a resource, and they're a roadmap of sorts to help you with your research. Those who dismiss wikis perhaps don't grasp their purpose. It's a starting point. It encourages a group research approach, and wikis are constantly being added to and updated. There's a number of types of wikis: information wikis, research wikis, and family history wikis. This wiki article is for the Republic of Ireland. It's a place-based wiki, and it's especially helpful when starting one-name study research in a new country. Just pick the country and go from there. Now, as you can see by scrolling through to the end of the article on the Republic of Ireland, we have links to notes. There's 257 references that are live links. There's a bibliography, suggestions for further reading, and external links. The only danger I find with Wikipedia is that I can start looking at one topic, and by clicking through to the various live links or references or checking an external link or a bibliography, I completely lose track of time. So why not go ahead and think of a topic that you'd like to know more about? I find the Wikipedia articles for various countries, as well as the various states and provinces and even local jurisdictions, to be pretty good. Now, the FamilySearch Research Wiki is found by clicking on the Help tab. As you can see, you can search by place or topic. There are over 88,000 articles on this wiki. They're all added by FamilySearch employees and volunteer researchers. FamilySearch provides an excellent overview if you're new to their wiki or if you'd like to submit content. FamilySearch follows a similar format to Wikipedia for its own wiki, and the example here is for Newfoundland. If you take a look at the content section, you'll get a brief overview of what's covered. Now, the best part of FamilySearch's wiki is the links. Especially helpful are the research tools links and those two buttons there at the bottom. There's online records, and that provides links to all online records for Newfoundland, both at their site as well as outside their site. And then the Ask the Community. I have gotten my questions answered by asking the community on a number of occasions. Now, the Guild's wiki focuses on doing surname research and conducting a one-name study. That just makes sense. The wiki follows the 7 pillars approach, and it also focuses on research and record sets in specific countries. And what the Guild does is it builds on the information that's been provided at the FamilySearch wiki. It doesn't repeat it or, copy it or anything. It just links you to that, and then it adds additional information. So if you're a member of the Guild and you have not taken advantage of the Guild's wiki, you will definitely want to check that out. Even better is the Guild's DNA Wiki. It's a terrific effort by Susan Meets to put together all in one place what you need to know about DNA and how to use it with your one-name study. Susan Meets is also the Guild's DNA coordinator, and she works with members who want to learn how to incorporate a DNA study into their ongoing one-name study. So definitely take advantage of that if you're using DNA. Now, social media is the catch-all term for so much of the conversation that's taking place online today, whether that's through a blog, a podcast, or various social networking sites. Whether for personal use or with our genealogy or our one-name studies, the internet and social media have basically opened up the world. Where 10 years ago, I didn't know any other genealogists except those that I met in person at local seminars or conferences. Today, I'm friends with genealogists and family historians and one-name researchers in Australia, France, England, Wales, Ireland, Canada, and many parts of the United States. And this is only possible through the power of social media. Now, whether we use Facebook Google+, LinkedIn, Twitter, or some combination of them, or even another one, whether we have a blog or a website to publish our research or our ramblings, or we simply enjoy reading and learning from others' blogs and websites, whether we listen and learn from podcasts or we jump into the fray and produce our own podcast. The internet and various social media platforms have given OneName researchers a voice and the ability to share that provides us with terrific opportunities for learning. Now, to find what's out there in terms of blogs, you really need to check out Geneabloggers Tribe, and that's an online community of almost 3,000 family history bloggers. It's curated by a dozen international genealogy bloggers, including 2 who are guild members. Now, if you're looking for blogs on certain topics or places, they've organized and categorized the blogs for your use, and that search feature that's shown there in the center will help you narrow the list. If you're thinking of starting a blog or a podcast, their resource pages give you lots of help to get started. And for those of you who can't get enough of citations and Elizabeth Schoen Mills, her website and blog continue the lessons of Evidence Explained. This is one of the most helpful and thoughtful blogs out there. It's a constant source of education on sources and citations. However, it's undergoing an update, so until it returns, you're not going to see what you see on the left-hand side because the blog is currently under reconstruction, and you're going to be directed to the Evidence Explained Facebook page. Now, I've noticed that the community and Elizabeth are very quick to respond to questions that are posted at that Facebook page. Podcasts are simply audio programs that you can listen to either at your computer, or you can download them and listen to them on your smartphone, or you can do what I did last week and use a smart home device. My father has an Amazon Alexa, and I listened to a podcast through that. The best podcasts focus on a specific topic, and they provide show notes. 2 to try are Genealogy Gems podcast, hosted by Lisa Louise Cook, and the Genealogy Guys podcast, hosted by Drew Smith, and he's a guild member, and his partner in crime, George Morgan. Lisa has 221 episodes of her Genealogy Gems podcast, as well as 45 episodes of Family History Made Easy, and that's a step-by-step series for beginners. That was my first introduction to podcasts and genealogy. Her podcasts with show notes are an enjoyable way to listen and learn. And Drew Smith and George Morgan have 349 podcasts to their credit, and they have one of the most popular and longest running genealogy podcasts out there. They provide the current news in the genealogy world, and they conduct interviews with genealogy professionals. This podcast is like having 2 mentors who provide you with advice and education. They always take questions and answer them during their podcasts. Now, if you're active in genealogy and OneName studies, the chances are very good that you're either going to be on Facebook or Google+. For most genealogists, the ability to ask questions and have them answered quickly is a huge help, both with our research and our resource questions. Groups on Facebook and communities on Google+ take that collegiality to the next level. So if you're interested in learning more about OneName studies or your genealogy software program, or a locality, the groups and communities are there to share knowledge and learn from each other. Both groups and communities work best if members engage with each other, whether that's reading the posts and commenting or asking and answering questions. Beware that you can spend an inordinate amount of time with social media platforms, and this is one of the areas that I monitor with a timer. I check in at Facebook now, unfortunately, my preferred platform, just because it has more individuals and certainly more genealogists. And I go to Facebook for about 30 minutes in the morning. I check in on Google Plus about twice a week for 30 minutes. And it basically helps me see what's going on in genealogy and the technology groups that I follow. I ask questions, and then if I need to, I can get back with answers. And I appreciate the comments by others about educational opportunities. They'll be discussing whether they're planning to attend something, or if they attended something, what they thought of it, what changes they'd make to it, what they took from it. Now, a tip to help you focus on what is most helpful at Facebook. You'll notice that when you take a look at my handout, 1 or 2 items on each page have been bolded, and that's what I think is kind of the aha moment for you in that resource handbook, that you should definitely take a look at those resources on the handout. This is put together by Catherine Wilson, and it's called Facebook for Genealogy, and it's a PDF that has over 13,000 links for Facebook groups and pages, and she's broken them down by location, subject, and topic, and so you can do a search through the PDF to find just what you're looking for. I use her list to stay up to date, and I think she's updated it as of June this year, and she basically goes through probably 2 or 3 times a year to update it, because it keeps me up to date on Facebook groups, and it helps me find Facebook groups to join when I'm starting to work on my one name study in a new place or in a different time period. Discussion boards were one of the earliest methods used by the genealogy community to connect with other researchers and discuss questions and share genealogy research. One name researchers can either browse the message board, post messages, submit records, browse family surnames on the surname list. Now, I joined a surname list in 2007 when I first was looking at doing genealogy, and I asked a number of questions about my surname, and I got connected to others who might be related or had some information for me. And people put a lot of their family trees on those surname lists. Now, I've noticed that since the advent of Facebook, Google+, and Twitter, these discussion boards, at least for my research questions, have really fallen off dramatically. You get a much faster answer if you're on Facebook. There's just not as much interaction on the discussion boards these days. However, this remains a great resource to check, especially because all those researchers shared so much of their genealogy data early on. I think there's 106 responses for the Keogh surname, and I did go through those and contact everyone. The difficulty sometimes is finding an updated email, but I've often been able to find people on Facebook. If you're here today, hopefully you know what webinars are. They're simply seminars that are held online. And there has really been an explosion in webinars, especially genealogy webinars in the past 6 years. And I would put all of the blame or credit for that on Jeff Rasmussen. Webinars provide groups and organizations the ability to schedule regular learning opportunity, and it's a savings in both time and costs associated with in-person seminars. And they provide an opportunity to have presentations that can be recorded and archived, and they can be shared with the general public or limited to membership as a benefit. And although each group or organization publicizes its webinars individually, Dear Myrtle set up a GeneaWebinars website that includes a calendar, and it operates as kind of a clearinghouse or a place to find out what's available and when. Now, the beauty of the GeneaWebinars calendar is that you can click on the link to a specific webinar, Jen Chat, meeting, or Hangout. She basically includes any online genealogy-related learning activities. You can learn more about the specific event, you can register if that's required, and you can also add the event directly to your online calendar. So it's a very handy place to visit to find out what's going on. Now, I mentioned earlier that online courses give the opportunity to learn or relearn a wide variety of subjects, and many of them are not genealogy based. So take advantage of these opportunities, as they will make your one name study that much richer. However, online courses require more of you as a student. These courses are usually offered as a series of lessons, and most are offered on either the high school or the college level. Some provide the opportunity to reacquire those building blocks that you might need in order to progress to the next level. For instance, Khan Academy is a great resource if you need to brush up on basic math or science skills before you move on to statistics or basic genetics for purposes of understanding and using statistics or DNA with your one name study. Now, Coursera and FutureLearn both provide university level courses on subjects that will give you an in-depth knowledge of history and other subjects, and they'll also provide advanced skills for data analysis. I would encourage you to take a look at the course offerings and decide if an online course is for you. Now, I want to walk you through one such course that I took to give you a sense of how online courses differ from some of the learning opportunities that we've already discussed. This course is what's called a MOOC, a massive open online course. It's open to unlimited participation, and it's open access via the web. Now, in this instance, this was done through Trinity College, I believe in Dublin, yes. The start date for this course this time was yesterday, September 17th, and it has a 6-week duration. The instructors provide a description of the course, and the time commitment is listed as 5 hours per week for 6 weeks, so that's 30 hours to complete the course. The format is videos, assignments, discussions, and the instructors anticipate that some of the discussions will use Twitter and also that you'll be writing short answers. A certificate of completion is available for students who successfully complete the course. Now, if you're thinking of taking any online courses offered through universities, be aware that any time requirements, prerequisites, and reading lists are pretty strict, and I would say that they were wrong. I probably spent 1.5 times the amount of time they suggested each week to get my assignments done and to read through everything that was available. These courses offer in-depth learning opportunity, and for these courses, part of your success is based on preparation and active participation. Make sure you have the time and the interest to devote to online courses. Now, I took this course 2 years ago, and I met a number of American, Australian, and Irish students of all ages who have been extremely helpful to me with my one name study. It just so happens that we share an interest in Irish history, and I've been able to ask them a number of questions, get connected with other KIOs, and find out about research and resources in Ireland to use with my one name study. So although I was taking it to learn about that time frame and the war and the revolution, I actually got a lot more out of this course because I interacted with the other students. Now, these are just 3 of the many courses available at Coursera. And while they might not be genealogy related, they are research related, and they teach you how to develop a research project, improve your logical and critical thinking skills, and address academic integrity, whether or not you're in an academic setting. Now, recently a Guild member mentioned on Facebook that a course was beginning at Coursera on copyright law and regulations. And I think the specific item that it had to do with was using images and using other people's work. And a few members I know immediately signed up for that course. So be willing to think outside the area of genealogy for courses that might help you achieve your various one name study goals. One of my favorite websites for practical courses, and that's about learning skills and technology. And that's things like Microsoft's Excel and Access, or TechSmith's Camtasia and Snagit, or Literature and Latte's Scrivener, or something I don't like but I have to use, Adobe's InDesign. That site is Udemy. The courses are almost always discounted, and once you've purchased them, they're always available to you. They combine videos, written handouts, and assignments to teach the subject matter. Something I really like about Udemy is that it has excellent note-taking system that's built right into their website. You simply add your own notes while you're watching the recording so that you can always find your notes to use in conjunction with the video. I appreciate that for practical courses where I need to bookmark it and note how to do something for future reference, that's built right into the system. They also tend to be really on the cutting edge of anything that's relatively new. They just put up a session for using Microsoft Teams, which has just been opened up to the public. Now, another example of online education company is, and I think this is the best company out there, Pharaohs Tutors. As mentioned in your handout, Helen Osborne is one of the founders of Pharaohs Tutors, and she's also a Guild member. Courses are offered as tutor-led and tutor-led with a certificate. There are many courses to choose from, and they cover subject matter, location, resources and records, and specialized studies. Now, the Guild has worked with Pharaohs Tutors, and the Guild's book, 7 Pillars of Wisdom, The Art of One Name Studies, is used as one of the resources for both the Introduction to One Name Studies and the Advanced One Name Studies course. Now, I took the Introduction to One Name Studies course when I first learned of the Guild, but I hadn't yet joined the Guild. And in fact, when I signed up for the course, my first year's membership in the Guild was included. Helen Osborne taught the course, and it was so helpful to learn the basics right from the start. We had a number of assignments and readings, all of which really helped me make a decision about which surname to study, how much work was going to be involved. We learned about which core data sets we should be using to gather data, and how to use and analyze, really question those records. We learned about organization and file naming, which I really needed to learn, as well as different methods and technologies to use to conduct a one-name study. Some people who were in the course had already been doing a one-name study, and some of us were new to it. So it was a really good way to interact with a variety of people who were interested in surname research. I found the course invaluable because it really helped me wrap my head around how to conduct a one-name study. And anyone I've spoken with who's taken the course feels they have a better understanding and more confidence in working on their own study. Helen no longer teaches the introduction course, but it's being taught by another Guild member, Julie Goucher. I would encourage anyone interested in surname research, a one-name study, or simply if you want to learn the methodology behind a specialized study, to consider taking the course. Now, the Advanced One Name Studies course builds on what you learned from the introduction course, as well as what you've already been doing with your study. And it pays particular attention to interdisciplinary studies, statistics, geography, history, and social history, just by way of example. Students also work through case studies, and they learn to write up and publish their one-name studies in a variety of formats. I think now I'm far enough along in my own one-name study that I'm finally ready to take the advanced course, which is being offered in 2019. Now, there are some colleges and universities that offer either certificate courses or diploma courses in family history and genealogical studies. And examples are included in the resources handout. And this is an example of Strathclyde, I hope I pronounced that correctly, University in Glasgow. And that's shown here. Most of the university certificate courses take a year, and they involve not only attendance at class, but also written assignments and end-of-the-year research papers. In the United States, Boston College and the University of Washington both offer certificate courses, although the University of Washington's program is on hiatus for the 2019 academic year. The one thing I will stress here is that these courses at the universities, and for the most part in person, although some are also done combination online, are not inexpensive. And so if you're going to take this course, this kind of series of courses to get the certificate, you really need to be willing to devote time and attention to it, as well as dollars. Now, one of the best online learning programs for intermediate and advanced genealogists, I think, is the ProGen study groups. And this program is based on small group learning model with a textbook professional genealogy, and that was just recently updated even. And you also have guidance from a certified genealogist and an in-depth study of each chapter with monthly assignments that are peer-reviewed. Online discussions and the assignments provide a real collaborative learning environment. And they get together at the various conferences, and they're basically alumni based on whichever session they were in. The program covers the textbook and the assignments over the course of 12 months. It's been shortened, and it requires a real significant amount of time and dedication on the part of the students and the mentors. There is always a waiting list. So if you want to take a look at the applicant information questionnaire on their website, you might see if this course fits in with your future educational plans. Now, a few suggestions for negotiating the schoolyard. In September, this month, there are over 80 hours of genealogy webinars, meetings, and study groups listed on the Geneo Webinars calendar and the Conference Keepers calendar. So attending online presentations and meetings could be a part-time job. Ask yourself what you need to learn now. What will help you with your one-name study today or in the near future? Keep in mind that you gain knowledge in pieces over time. You don't have to learn it all right now, and you can fit those pieces together over time. Just because a webinar or a seminar or a course does not charge a fee, that doesn't mean it's free. Our time has value, So be a discerning student. Make a decision about that webinar or that course based on whether you think you'll get something of value for your time. Is it a good investment of your time? And will that investment pay a dividend? Basically, how are you going to use it? Now, it's a fact of life. There are going to be speakers and presenters that you enjoy and you learn from them, and there are going to be other instructors that you simply don't mesh with. If the presentation is short, if the handout or resources are well prepared, or if the subject matter is only taught by that one person, you're going to have to simply deal with it. But today there are so many different opportunities and presenters that I would encourage you to find instructors you enjoy, because it's going to make your learning process that much easier and entertaining. And I'd also suggest that you keep track of the education you engage in. Make a note of your thoughts about the seminar, the course, the webinar, the podcast, what have you. You can use that list for future assessments. It'll help you make decisions on future learning opportunities. Mine is in an Excel workbook, and it's really easy for me to update. Now, you also have to know your limits. How much free time do you actually have? How much time that's that free time do you want to devote to your one-name study? And how much of that time do you want to focus on education, research, or group or volunteer projects? Don't overextend with your educational choices. Taking on something that you can't give the proper time or attention to is only going to make you less likely to take courses in the future. So start out small, get the basics in, have a good foundation, and then take additional coursework. I would also say that practice makes memory. Give yourself the time to use what you learn. For the most part, a 1-hour class requires an additional 3 hours of your time, because we need to review the lesson by taking a look at our notes, our handouts, filling in any blanks that we might have missed during the presentation. We need to pick a few items to act on and put it into practice, what we've learned. And then we need to use what we've learned. Also keep in mind that variety will help keep things fresh, so be willing to mix things up. Attend chats or hangouts, be an active participant, read blog posts, watch YouTube videos, attend webinars, join a Facebook group or a Google community, learn a new technology, try an online course in a subject that is completely new to you. Go back and listen to some skill building family history podcasts to remind yourself of the basic building blocks of genealogy. A lot of times we get ahead of ourselves and we forget those basics. It's always good to remember that. Attend a seminar or a conference with a special focus on one-name studies or a specific piece of technology, and then make a plan to incorporate what you learn in your one-name study. Now, if you're a member of the Guild, one of the easiest things to do is take a look at the past seminars that the Guild has put together. I believe they do 4 a year, and I believe they're online from 2012 forward. There are just a wealth of presentations on a variety of topics. You could get a lot of your one-name learning done just by visiting the Guild website. Go outside of the Guild website, but definitely take advantage of the benefits that are available there. Now, my final thoughts on the educational experience. Make sure that you include that webinar you want to take or that course. Make sure you put it on your calendar. Make sure that you have a template for your notes and that you use the same type of template each time. I would suggest the Cornell note-taking system. It's a relatively simple method, and both Evernote and OneNote have templates that you can download to use. I'd give that a try. If you don't use OneNote or Evernote, just Google Cornell, C-O-R-N-E-L-L, note-taking, and it'll bring up examples. Have a filing system. And in addition to having a filing system, use your filing system. I put everything in a genealogy education folder. The notes are titled with the date of the course and the course or the webinar title. And that way everything's in chronological order and I can easily see what I've attended or hopefully learned. Do whatever works for you, but have that system and file regularly. Otherwise, you're never going to find your notes. Check whether, based on the course description, there is a reading list or some background study that you can do ahead of time that will make the seminar or the course easier. Read any handouts or assignments, if you can, before the seminar, the session, or the course, before that starts, so that you're prepared to listen critically and to actively participate in any discussions. And then do the work required and do it early. Something will come up, something always comes up. I have this happen to me all the time, and you really don't want to be scrambling at the last minute or not give it your best effort. So it's all about being part of the learning community. While it's fine to start quietly, do join in at that playground and you'll find a tremendous amount of engagement. First, I want to thank you for attending our webinar today, and I really appreciate the 4 people who waited an hour. Doing surname research and taking on a one-name study easily can be overwhelming at times. Hopefully you've picked up some suggestions for ways to increase your knowledge and skills so that you're more comfortable approaching technology, methodology, and the subject matter associated with your research. Now, I hope you've seen that there are a wealth of possibilities, oftentimes free, sometimes at low cost, sometimes more expensive, but the possibilities are there to be a lifelong learner, and you can take advantage of any of those learning opportunities. And now let's go ahead and see if we have any questions. Is Paul still with us?
I am.
Okay.
And the only question we've got is a tip, really. I use and learn a lot from Barbara Jones' Genealogy Calendar Wiki.
Okay.
And she gives an address.
Well, I will find that in the questions because I was going to mention this anyway, but if you have any websites that you think are great or any educational opportunities, we'd love to add them to the handout. I'd be happy to add them. And I'm sure that you're going to notice that a lot of the learning opportunities that I've shared with you tend to be in North America, although I did throw in a few from across the pond, but obviously I did that because I'm American. That's what I'm more familiar with. So, well, if we don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up by letting you know that this is a reminder that our next webinar is on Tuesday, October 16th at 7 p.m. British Summer Time. And we'll see if that gets adjusted correctly. But you can register for that at the Guild website if you haven't. This is going to be a panel discussion giving you information and answering questions that are all about the Guild. We're going to take you on a tour of the Guild website and our social media. We're going to mention some volunteer opportunities that are available. We're going to discuss the Guild's milestone, which is our 40th anniversary, with a quick look back and also a look forward, letting you know about the special events that are planned for 2019, including the theme for our 2019 webinar series. And we'll answer whatever questions you have about the Guild. So I hope that you will join us and learn all about the Guild. Thanks so much for attending, and we'll see you all next month.